So, dear ones, welcome to this brand new series. I'm so excited to be sharing with you. It's a four-part series where we're going to be exploring the hidden energy leaks in your business through your human design energy centers. I am such a believer in understanding and aligning to our 9 centers because there's something powerful that gets unlocked when you do that, especially with regards to your business. So, there are 9 energy centers as part of the human design chart, and you may have them either open or defined. So, when you run your chart, your energy centers are the triangles or squares or diamonds that are either colored in, and that indicates they are defined, and that just means you have a consistent way of approaching the theme of that energy, which we're going to be going through. And if you are open, this means that you are open to conditioning with regards to this theme. And that's just one thing. It also means that you get your cues about that energetic theme from your environment. So when it's divine, it comes from within. And when it's open, it comes from that around you. And your open centers are really here to make you wise. And not only that, where you are open, you amplify those themes in others. So I have a defined head center, and if you have an open center, when you and I are together, and because the head center is about ideas and inspiration, you amplify my ideas and inspiration. And likewise, let's say we look at the will center, and that is the center for willpower. If you have openness there and I have definition, when we are together, you can draw on my willpower. So you can see that defined energy and open energy, when working together, really create a harmony. And like all things in human design, nothing is good, nothing is bad. It just is. And over the next 4 episodes, we're going to go through all 9 centers, and we're going to look at where you may have a hidden energy leak in your business and how you can turn that around. Today's episode, we're going to start with the head, ajna, and throat, and really looking at these centers to uncover why overthinking and visibility blocks may be costing you clients. Okay, so we're going to start at the head center. That's at the top of your chart. What does the head center do? It is your center for ideas and inspiration. This is one of the pressure centers of the chart, so it can also create mental pressure to think, imagine, and explore possibilities, both in high and low expression of that. So you can have pressure from a high expression way if you say have definition in this chart and you really are here to think and explore. And that pressure puts you into this high consciousness way of exploring new ideas and possibilities. Low expression of this pressure, which tends to happen more if you have an open center, puts pressure on you to figure it out and to get an answer, even if the answer isn't here or it's not time yet to figure it out. So let's go through this center, starting with defined expression. If you have definition here, which means you have that triangle colored in, you naturally generate ideas and inspiration. Your mind is constantly active and can spark others just by being in your energy. When you have open expression here, you do feel, as I mentioned, pressure to figure things out and chase ideas that aren't yours. You can get caught trying to answer every question and solve everything. So, where does this leak in your business? And remember, human design is all about tendencies. So, we all have all parts of the chart. So, even if you are open, you may relate to the defined and vice versa. So, the important thing here is just to be open and listening and noticing what is landing for you uniquely. But if you do have a defined head, you may find that you have a tendency to generate too many ideas and keep pivoting your message. You follow what is exciting instead of what is building traction. And I have a defined head, and I can definitely say I've noticed myself fall into this trap of always pivoting my message. And the result of that is a scattered energy and unclear positioning. Another trap of a defined head center is you may struggle to turn your thinking off. And this prohibits you from creating that mental space for your ideas to ever fully land. If you have openness here, you may feel pressure to figure everything out before you move. And you can chase other people's ideas or feel overwhelmed by how many ideas are coming in or stay stuck in consumption and overthinking, which results in delay, doubt, and inconsistency. But let's now get into a more uplifting conversation about how to turn this around. So, step one is identifying where you may have a leak, and step two is plugging that leak up. And that's where following our charts can be super handy and leading us to a solution. So, getting back to our defined head, choose one idea and commit to it for long enough to build momentum. Let your ideas support your business, not constantly redirect it. So, you guys know me. I am the creator of Soul Blueprint, and I've just decided, as far as I know today, I am going to be in full building mode of Soul Blueprint for at least the next 10 years. Now, I am a projector and I'm a systems projector, and I have defined energy in my chart where I have staying power on an idea. You might be a manifesting generator with an open head, and the idea of pursuing the same idea for 10 years like makes you lose air. You might be like, "Oh my god, that sounds terrible." That wouldn't be a solution I would advise for you. So with a defined head, you don't necessarily have to follow an idea for 10 years, but follow your idea long enough until it gives you some traction, and then you'll start to see that your idea really starts to pick up pace. And you'll also want to think about ways to empty the bucket of your head. Defined head centers can get quite full of thoughts. So be sure to create simple practices to clear mental overload. And if you enroll in my signature course, Soul Blueprint, I have lots of tactics and techniques to help you do that. For our open head, you want to release the pressure to answer everything. And this is really important. So you can choose which idea is actually yours to engage with, is yours to take action on. To do that, you want to really get into the practice of following your strategy, authority, and intuition before pursuing any idea. And this does take practice, but that will enable you to know the idea that is yours to pursue. So, first, check in with strategy, authority, and intuition and get that clear yes before you move out. All right, let's move to the Ajna Center. I love the Ajna Center. I don't think it gets talked about enough because it is your center for processing, interpreting, and making sense of ideas. And maybe that could sound kind of boring. Sometimes it's called the Data Processing Center. But this is the center that turns inspiration into perspective and meaning. When you have definition here, you have a consistent way of thinking and forming opinions. Your mind creates structure, identifies patterns, and can offer clear perspective to others. If you have openness here, you are open to a multiple way of thinking and can see many different perspectives. And again, like the head, you may feel pressure to be certain or to figure things out. So you can imagine, I always like to use the metaphor of an election. If you have A defined ajna, it is likely you are very clear and fixed on the candidate you want to vote for. If you have openness, you're the one that all the candidates are going to want to spend their campaign dollars on because you can be swayed to vote to the right or to the left. Where does this leak in your business? All right. If you have a defined ajna, you may get rigid in your thinking and attached to being right. My partner and I each have defined ajnas, so we can have some real knockdown, drag out arguments. And guess what? I'm usually the right one. Just kidding. You can really hold on to that one perspective, even when it is no longer serving your growth. And you miss opportunities to evolve your offers or your messaging, and that results in stagnation and messaging that stops resonating. And I can definitely see this stubbornness popping up in my business where I get an idea that I just love and I see that it's not getting traction. And there's also that defined head coming in. Idea I love, put it out there. It's not resonating, but I'm so like fixed on it that I'm not seeing that the message wants to pivot. And that's my definition showing up, and it's creating an energy leak in my business. And remember, identifying the energy leaks is just the awareness so that we know where and how to patch it up. If you have an open ajna, you will tend to overthink your content and second guess what you want to say. I see this a lot with clients. You feel pressure to be certain before you speak or share, or you can dilute your message by trying to include every perspective. And this results in unclear messaging and a loss of authority. How to turn this around? If you are defined, hold your perspectives more lightly and allow them to evolve. Stay open to new insights without needing to abandon your core thinking. Let your certainty support your message, not lock it in place. For you open ajnas, release the need to be certain before you speak. Trust that your power is in seeing multiple perspectives, not locking into one. That's the beauty of the open ajna. And share what feels true now without over processing it. Moving on to the throat. And this is a really big one for light workers and light workers who are in business. The throat is your center for communication, expression, and manifestation. It brings your inner world into words and action. So, if you have a defined throat, you have a consistent way of expressing yourself. Your voice carries a stable energy, and people can recognize you through how you speak and share. If you have openness, you feel pressure to speak in order to be seen, heard, or recognized. Your expression can be inconsistent or amplified depending on who you're around. Because remember, openness responds to its environment. So, where may you have leaks in your business? With a defined throat, you speak before your messages are fully aligned or recognized. You rely on your voice without checking if the energy behind it is correct. You keep talking, but your words will lose impact. And the result is people hear you, but don't feel compelled to act. If you have openness, which I have here, you feel pressure to post, speak, or show up to be seen. When you have openness, it's really important that you are invited to speak before you speak. And it doesn't have to be a specific, Allison, how do you feel? Although that's, sometimes it really kind of needs to be at that level of clear invitation. But sometimes you get that invitation through an energetic cue, a nudge that now is the time to share a particular message. In shadow with open throat, you can force visibility or swing between over posting and disappearing. That has definitely been me in the past. You hold back from speaking or being seen, waiting for the right moment. The result is inconsistent visibility and a weakened trust with your audience. Now, let's get into how to turn this all around. Define throat. You also want to wait for the right moments of recognition, energetic cue. And for the defiant throat, I think it's mostly internal alignment before speaking. Both defined and open throats need to be recognized, but for an open throat, it's a more obvious question or recognition waiting to be recognized before you share. With definition, it's really about that internal alignment or those energetic cues. And if you're defined, you want to focus on the energy behind your words, not just the words themselves. Speak with intention so your words actually land and move people. If you have openness here, this is where you want to wait to be invited to speak. So, how does this look like in my business? Like most of the best episodes for Soul Alive Radio, people have asked me for, Allison, can you do an episode on such and such? And that's being invited to speak. Or, Allison, can you offer something about such and such? Whenever a client, an aligned client, asks me or invites me to do something, I take big particular notice of that because I know it's my open throat being activated. And this releases the pressure that open throat folks can have to speak in order to be seen. We don't want to speak to be seen. We wanted to be invited to speak and then we are seen. And we want to focus on expressing something that is genuinely alive for you. So our consistency comes from alignment and not forcing yourself to show up. All right, I gave you a lot of information. So you may want to listen to this episode more than once. And again, we all have all parts of the chart. So just notice the shadow elements that showed up for you and that felt strongest for you, the things you recognized. And that's where you can start to patch up the energy leaks so you can start showing up in higher alignment in your business. My invitation for you this week is to notice where you're leaking energy across your head, ajna, and throat. Where are you chasing ideas instead of committing to one? Where are you overthinking instead of trusting what you know? Where are you speaking from pressure instead of alignment? Pick one place where you're leaking and patch it up. Choose one idea to stand behind. Share one message without overthinking or overprocessing. Speak from a place that feels very true. Let this be the week where your ideas, your thinking, and your voice start working together. That's when your messages land and your people start responding. That's a wrap for this week. And as always, may you be soul alive.